Hello, my friends. We have a couple very important astrological things happening over the next day or two, and I wanted to come on here and give a little talk about it because one of these important things is happening that is regarding a planet that is near and dear to my heart, which many people don't look at this planet that way at all. In fact, when they hear the name of this planet, they like want to run for the hills or they want to hide or they want to say, oh no. And let me just say that I am not talking about Pluto, although Pluto can also have that kind of reaction in a lot of people. So I have my beautiful kind of celestial lighting going on tonight, which is, I think, is really super cool. And I thought it was perfect to talk about some planets. So first of all, I want to say that at about 10:38 Mountain Time, 10:38 a.m. Mountain Time on November 29th, Mercury goes direct. Hooray. That is a little bit of a relief. The sigh heard round the world that Mercury is going to be direct. In fact, if you're watching this video after that date and time, Mercury is already direct. But about 24 hours, give or take, before Mercury went direct, this planet, that's pretty funny. Plattern. I was going to say this planet, then I was also going to say Saturn, and it turned out to be Plattern. That's funny. Anyway, the planet that I'm talking about, known as the Greater Malefic, Saturn, is now direct. Now, I have a love affair with Saturn. I know that's really unusual. Most people don't like Saturn. They don't like what Saturn represents. They don't like the lessons that Saturn brings to you. I am very soon going to give a whole entire talk on Saturn because I love Saturn. Now, that's easy for me to say. But, and I'll tell you why when we get to Saturn, but I want to talk a little bit about Mercury first and why this is so important that these two are going direct at about the same time. It's kind of really a big deal. And I have to admit, I was listening to another podcast today and I'm looking for my notes here. So if you see me looking over here, it's because I have notes on my phone. I have notes in front of me, notes all over the place so I don't forget anything. Um, I heard a statement today, and I listen to YouTube all the time, and here I am hoping that you'll listen to me on YouTube. My name is Sabrina, by the way. This is Tree of Life Inner Guidance. I do some astrology, tarot, runes are coming. They're coming. They really are in more ways than you would ever imagine. And I also have a degree in wellness counseling. Um, so anyway, I have these notes all over the place. I have podcasts playing in the background when I'm doing stuff. So I'm listening to this astrological podcast, and this is from Molly McCord. And sometimes, I put these things on for background noise, and I think we all do that. People turn the TV on or a music playing or what have you for background noise. And then all of a sudden, right on time, I was like, wait, 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 wait. What did she just say? That made so much sense. And, I'm making a big decision here, and I've been waiting until Mercury goes direct because I think that if I made this decision with Mercury retrograde, I'd have to redo it when Mercury goes direct. And that is one of the reasons why when you have a planet such as Mercury or Saturn, when you're looking at making major decisions, what you want to do during that time when they're retrograde, you want to reflect and rethink and reevaluate these particular situations. So when the planet does go direct, you can then make that decision. So anyway, I'm listening and I'm like, wow, that was just amazing. And I got to talk to people about that. It was that amazing. In fact, a lot of these things I come on and talk about were little snippets that I heard here or heard there. I read in a book. I'm listening to a song driving down the road, 7.5 hours to Arizona. Um, Actually, I don't listen to music when I have the cats in the vehicle. It's just silence for 7.5 hours. So I have a lot of time alone in my head. Anyway, this was profound enough that I felt like I needed to come on and talk to you all about it. So I'm just going to give a quick little review on Mercury retrograde. I did do a whole little video on Mercury retrograde, and I must say, I did tell you that with the second week of Mercury retrograde, when Mercury backed up into the sign of Scorpio, a whole bunch of stuff was going to be unearthed, uprooted, rediscovered, re-talked about, reinvestigated. And yes, that is exactly what happened. So anyway, Mercury was the messenger of the gods. He was a little bit of a trickster. So Mercury is all about communication and travel and logic and making decisions. It's about electronics and communication, like cyber stuff, social media, your computers, your, your appliances, like my dead refrigerator, all those sorts of things. So when Mercury kind of from the Earth's viewpoint kind of stops and goes backwards, that is when it is time to kind of review things, renew, reevaluate, all those re words. Those are good times. It's a good time to do that when Mercury is retrograde. You rethink everything, okay? Um, so then when Mercury goes direct, that's when all the things that you were re-evaluating and rethinking, you can go forward and make an informed, logical decision. Okay, and Mercury rules Gemini, which is an air sign, and the air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, are all about logic, thoughts, clarity, etc. So now Mercury will be direct. Oh, happy day. In fact, I ordered the refrigerator, but I'm not getting it delivered until Tuesday when Mercury is definitely direct. Okay. So now, a little bit before Mercury went direct, Saturn went direct. Now, Saturn is another planet that you need to do some re-evaluating with when it goes retrograde. Okay. So Saturn, you usually need to reevaluate your decisions, reevaluate your long-term goals, reevaluate your boundaries, reevaluate your structures and your routines. You need to reevaluate sometimes being an adult. Are you being an adult and are you being mature with your decisions? Adulting is hard. Yes, indeed, it is. So now with Saturn going direct, you should be able to set clearer boundaries clearer long-term goals, be more responsible or take responsibility. Maybe you have been shrugging responsibility. And this together with Mercury going direct and with Saturn going direct, this is an excellent time for long-term, clear, logical, adult decisions. Okay? So now I have a personal love affair with Saturn because um, I have probably the most elevated, most powerful Saturn you can get. It rules my chart. It's in the 10th house. It's in Aquarius, which Saturn originally ruled Aquarius. My midheaven is in Capricorn, ruled by Saturn. So I'm the poster child for Saturn. Now, that doesn't mean that I haven't done some stupid, immature, irresponsible things in my life, which I have, but somehow I've always been redeemed. Um, with Mercury, Mercury is now backed up into Scorpio. Saturn is backed up into Pisces. So those are both going forward in water signs in a trine. A trine means that they get along really well. It should be good communication between those two planets, and they can move forward without too much hassle. In fact, it should be very easy and smooth sailing with those two planets working together. So, the message that I received today when I was listening to Molly, um, and it's just ironic how the universe will speak to you if you are listening. Okay. And this message, because I've been fussing around with making this decision, and I'm really going to talk quite a bit about this because it certainly makes sense. And it was just a beautiful statement of these two planets going in forward motion, kind of holding hands and skipping through the tulips as much as Saturn can, and as much as Mercury and Scorpio can, Saturn and Pisces. Now, you have to understand, Saturn is not delighted being in Pisces. Pisces is ruled by Neptune, which is the dissolution of boundaries. Okay. Neptune and Pisces kind of want to blend everything together where there's no boundaries. And they have the tendency to put on the rosy colored glasses. Let me just tell you, Saturn does not own any rosy colored glasses, never mind ever put them on. So it's very interesting kind of working with the Saturn in Pisces. Saturn will be much happier in Aries, although that's not the greatest placement either for Saturn. But anyway, a little bit better than Saturn in Pisces. So this statement, and this is not verbatim, this is just kind of what I voice texted to my phone. Speaking of voice, I'll be happy when I get my voice back. One of these days I will, when I no longer have allergies. But the absolute perfect energy for Saturn and Mercury direct, almost together in a trine with the water signs of emotion and intuition and feeling is this. Get rid of get rid of people and situations who continue to perpetuate in inequitable exchanges with you. Okay? So The decision I personally and have been pussyfooting around, so to speak, because this is the beauty of astrology. Well, yes and no, but I always say astrology, if you know astrology, you know what the potentials are. So I knew that with Mercury being retrograde, if I made this decision before Mercury went direct, now I have the luxury that I could wait to make this decision. Sometimes you don't have that luxury. So with Mercury retrograde, you really need to think it through, dot all your I's, cross all your T's, read all the fine print before you move forward with a decision, or something screwy will happen afterwards. And I knew that. So for me, I just kept thinking to myself, do I really want to make this decision? Is this what I want to do? Do I want to basically end this situation? And there was a lot of good in the situation, but man, when I heard this statement, I was just like, boy, is that exactly spot on. So you will have people in your life that are takers. Okay. We have some friends that are takers, coworkers that are takers, acquaintances that are takers. And what they do is they're always wanting something from you. And this reminds me of many, many years ago now when I was teaching aerobics at this gym. And for those of you who don't know, I've been in fitness for 40 years. It's what I do for a living. I trained instructors all over the world. I'm mainly a personal trainer and a Pilates instructor. We have a wayfaring cat down here chewing on my my universal galaxy light cord. You leave that alone. Anyway, sorry. But anyway, this woman had the personality of a brick. I really don't know how she got up in front of people and taught classes and acted like she was having a good time. She just kind of acted to me like she was perpetually miserable. And I would always say hello because I am a social butterfly. I'm super extroverted. No kidding, right? And so oh, how you doing? And I'm not going to tell you what her name was. This was many years ago, but anyway, we had a nickname for her, and that might give her name away, so I'm not going to say it. So I would always say hello, hey, how you doing? And she always had the personality of a stone. So and so she would call if she wanted a class covered or something. And this happened all the time. She would want something covered. She'd call me, absolutely zero chit chat, not even, how are you today? So this one day she called me and I said, hi. I said, what do you want? She said, what do you mean? What do I want? I said, listen, the only reason you were ever pleasant to me or ever nice to me or ever talk to me is because you want something. So what do you want? And she said, well, can you cover my class at whatever time it was? I said, no, I can't. Click. So, sometimes you just got to get to the point where these people are like that, and you just got to boom, say, you know, you want something from me. You're miserable all the time. You don't do a thing for me, and I'm done. I'm really, really done. And my phone keeps going blank. So, anyway, I remember that. And, that was kind of the end of that story because she knew I was right. And the only reason she was ever pleasant to me was because she wanted something. So that was an inequitable exchange. Okay. Now, Saturn would never go for that. And a very logical, clear thinking Mercury would never go for that. So when you put those two together, it is time for you to verbalize in crystal clear, logical, you don't have to be mean, logical communication what your boundaries are, what is working for you, and you need to take a good hard look at situations where the exchange of services, communication, niceties, pleasantries, whatever it is, this is usually comes from jobs where the exchange is inequitable to you. Okay. So if someone, I had another conversation with someone today before I heard this quote unquote, statement that was like, I mean, I just almost got whiplash from snapping my head around to replay that section of the video like 3 times to make sure I got it right. And I was speaking with another fellow instructor, and she said, well, I'm forever getting asked, can you do this? Can you do that? Or I put you here, or I put you there. And she said, I don't want to do that anymore, because there's just no exchange of the same coming back from that other person. And, this particular situation that I'm in is another take, take, take. And, I would give because at that moment I could. Um, it was fine. I was getting paid. And, but when I would offer suggestions or I wanted this, that, or the other thing, this, that, or the other thing went to someone else. So when I heard the statement today, inequitable exchanges, stop allowing these situations to continue where you've got these inequitable exchanges perpetuating again and again. And when I heard that, I realized that that was exactly what was going on in this situation, that I couldn't decide, you know, there was part of me that didn't want to go, but I'm like, there's nothing in it for me. Okay. So if you want to cut through the chase and be very clear, if there isn't anything in it for you and you are the person that is always giving in a situation, and you have had this time, the last 3 weeks or so, and I'm not sure how long Saturn's been retrograde, but you have had this time to rethink and reevaluate and reconsider situations, that, you know, moving forward, it's time to put those into play, because Saturn is also all about long-term goals. So Saturn is looking down and saying, you've had some time to think this through. Is this something that is going to benefit you moving forward? Or is this something that is to your detriment of your long-term goals? And in this situation, or many situations, who knows, are your boundaries being crossed? Do you need to reestablish boundaries? Because they do make a huge difference. When COVID hit, I had to really rethink my boundaries in a lot of situations. And I feel like I did a really good job with that. But there's nothing like that with Saturn conjunct Pluto. There's nothing like a Saturn conjunct Pluto to make you reevaluate your boundaries like crazy. So Mercury direct, you've had time to rethink things, reevaluate things, redirect your energy. Saturn direct, you've had time also to reevaluate your responsibilities in certain situations, reevaluate your long-term goals, um, and basically be a grown-up. And a grown-up is going to set clear boundaries. The communication of those boundaries are going to be um, said in a mature manner, not whining and yakety yak. I think women tend to justify more when they're saying, well, I can't XYZ anymore because of ABC. And I think men just say, well, I can't do that anymore. And I mean, really think about that. Now, I am generalizing and I'm gendering here a little bit, but over my whole life of dealing with nothing but the public, that's what I've noticed. That if a man wanted to communicate something, they often just say, this is how it is, no can do. A woman, bless our hearts. Well, I really can't do that anymore because, I have the kids and I have to get them off to school and I have to pick them up at 3 o'clock and it just doesn't give me enough time, blah, blah, da, 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 da. You don't need to justify, man or woman. You do not need to justify yourself in needing to give boundaries and give a very clear reason that, hey, I just can't do this anymore because it's not working for me. That's a clear enough reason. You don't need to go into any more detail. And, I seriously hope that this is helpful to some of you right now because this is a collective message because Mercury's been retrograde, Saturn has been retrograde, and they are both now moving forward. I bet that there are many of you out there listening to this message that are like, wow, I really have been thinking about this. I haven't really known what to do. And yeah, that is true. I'm in a situation that is perpetuating this inequitable exchange. I am giving way more than the other person, situation, job, whatever it is. And I am no longer willing to do that. And I am going to stop and I'm going to set my crystal clear boundaries around this. So I hope this is as helpful to you. When I talk about astrology, I know that astrology can be super complicated if you don't know a lot about it. Astrology, there is a lot going on. And for just a little comparison, when you learn tarot, there's 78 cards. There's a meaning for each card, and there's a meaning for it being reversed if you read reversals. But once you kind of know the meaning of the cards and what they represent, your intuition can set in. But astrology is ever evolving. It's in motion. The planets are moving. So although your birth chart is kind of set in stone, the planets are always in the sky, not your planets. You have your chart. The planets in the sky are forever moving, and they affect your planets, the houses that your planets are in, and then they also affect the collective. So, what I mean by that is the transiting where the planets are in the sky right now, like for example, Saturn went direct, Mercury went direct. Those planets are going to affect other people. They're also going to affect companies. They're going to affect countries, like the chart of the United States. A lot of the astrologers work with electional astrology, and they work with looking at how the transits affect the chart of the start of a country, such as the United States. The Sibley chart is the most used chart for looking at the planets and the transits, and that was July 4th, 1776, 5:30 p.m. Philadelphia, PA. So that's the birth chart of the United States. So these planets are also affecting the United States. So when you hear things like Pluto return, that's when Pluto returns to the exact sign and degree point of where Pluto was when the United States was born, 1776. So Mercury retrograde and Saturn retrograde affect the collective also. And then when they go direct, even if it's not hitting any placements in your chart, it is a collective energy of what's going on in the sky, so to speak. So there's a lot going on with astrology. It is in motion. The planets are constantly in motion. Where tarot is you learn the cards, you use your intuition. Different cards are going to flavor. Um, like the Four of Cups might look very different if you did three or four card decks in front of you. The flavor of that is going to change, but still, the Four of Cups is the Four of Cups. You know, one cup remaining, three cups down, is disappointment as a general rule. But where the planets in astrology are in constant motion and affecting other people's planets and countries, it's a little different. And then there's, solar returns, there's solar arcs, there's progress planets, there's synastry, composite charts, Davison charts. There's a lot going on with astrology. So for those of you that know astrology, I'm trying to simplify as best I can so everyone can understand kind of what is going on. And I obviously don't know your individual charts, so I can't make an evaluation there or give you any sort of information on there. But as a collective rule of thumb, Mercury direct, Saturn direct, great time to make clear, concise communication towards long-term goals and setting boundaries. Okay. And I did draw some cards here. I'm going to have a sip of my tea. Maybe it's cooled off a little bit so I don't choke on it. So I did get a brand new deck and I got it today. And this is Voices of the Whale Oracle. I'll try to get it on there without too much glare. And this is by Psychic Nath. And I just got these in the mail. Open them up. And as usual, the cards just come through with a fantastic backup of the whole conversation. So let me show you the cards. So this is the outside of the cards. Let me move this here. Well, we've just got a little glare going on. Sorry about that. So anyway, that looks like the symbol of Aquarius and the water bearer. Okay. So the first card I drew out, and this says whale dance and joy. Okay, let me show you the card. So this is everybody saying, oh, happy day. Mercury's direct. Now we can talk to people again. Now my computer's going to work. I'm going to get a new refrigerator. That's the first thing I thought of is how joyous everybody will be that they know that now Mercury's direct. Okay. And this next one has whales and a sea turtle on here. And this says deep blue insights, clearing. All right. So what I take from that is literally what's going on is now everything is clearing. All the decisions and all the ruminating and reevaluating and the things that you were thinking about while Mercury has been retrograde, now that is all clearing. Okay. And then the last one is the whale guardians. And this says strength. See all the guardians there. So, what this says to me is rejoice that you can now make an executive decision, a clear decision, that you are being given strength to make that clear decision. And now you can move forward with setting those boundaries, making the decision, and clearing out the dead weight, literally. And this card deck is a benefit for, it's called Voices of the Whale and Oracle. And this you can get on Nath's The Third Wish. You can order this on his website. And this is a fundraiser to help save the whales. And then I also drew a couple of other cards for the collective. And this is from Miracles. Now, this glare is really bugging me. I'm sorry. I don't think I can fix it. We'll just have to get over it. There, you can see it. Miracles Now. And this is by Gabriella Bernstein. I have a pile of her decks. Okay. So this is I am not the victim, I am the lighthouse. Now, just a little bit about Saturn. Saturn can kind of be the wet blanket. Saturn can be the taskmaster. Saturn is also known as the Grim Reaper and Karma, the Lord of Karma, the Lord of Time, all those things. But if, how do I want to say this? The easiest way for me to say this is if you do the right thing, Saturn is on your side. Saturn will help you. Okay. You do not need to be the victim. Saturn will be there for you. And I can't tell you how much time I spend in my head, too much, but the situations will arise and I'm like, oh, what am I going to do about that? And sometimes it would be easier to skirt the issue. And I can't tell you how many times I just say, nope, you are going to do the right thing. No, you're going to send that email. You're going to pick up that phone. You're going to do the right thing. The end. And Saturn will help you. I swear. I swear a lot, but I try not to on YouTube. And then the second card I drew here was I surrender my desires and I know the universe has my back. So, what all these cards collectively say to me is if you do the right thing, if you give clear communication, you set boundaries and do not let people use and abuse you. Set your boundaries, let it go, and the universe will have your back. And you will see. So thank you so much for being here tonight, my friends. I'm coming at you from Arizona. I'm completely not set up in a normal spot here, but it's kind of pretty with my galaxy lighting, and there's my tree of life there, and my pile of oracle cards. Those of you that ordered my oracle cards, they will get shipped out on Tuesday. If you are interested in my oracle deck, oh, I don't know where the open deck is. Um, Anyway, I have a whole video on unboxing my oracle deck. There's the outside here, um, all wrapped up and all kinds of places to go. You can order my oracle deck. It is on my YouTube channel. There's a spot there. It's $39. That includes shipping, packaging, and it comes in a really pretty thing. Um, And you can also go on to my website, treeoflifeinnerguidance.com. Way at the bottom, it's a little funny how I have that set up there. In the notes section, you need to put your full name and address on there and put your phone number too in case I have a question in your email. But you can order my Oracle deck. It's the Land of Enchantment Oracle if you're new to this channel. It's all my original photography from Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's a 60 card deck. It's a very happy deck. It's beautiful. I'm so delighted. And I have 5 more decks on deck that as I'm gonna do a tarot deck, probably, well, we'll see. There's 2 that are on deck. They might come out at about the same time. But anyway, thank you so much for being here. My name is Sabrina, Tree of Life Inner Guidance. Please subscribe to the channel. The more subscriptions get on here, the closer I get to being able to just boom, go on here and go live just off the cuff. Well, plus I would like more subscribers, of course. And please like the video and the comments. If you have any comments, they do help the algorithm of the channel, those damn algorithms. Anyway, and everything on this channel is for spiritual and entertainment purposes only. I hope you did get something out of this video. I am super excited that Mercury and Saturn are direct. In fact, this is how much I love Saturn. I don't know if you can see that, if I can get it up there. This is my Saturn heart. There we go. This is a charm that I got at Llewellyn in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It is Saturn in a heart shape with a star and a moon. And when I saw that, I'm like, I gotta have the Saturn heart. So I'm a big fan of Saturn. And I will be doing a pretty good talk on Saturn coming up. I have so many things I want to do. I just need the time to do them all. So thank you very much and happy Mercury and Saturn direct to you.